For those of you who do not know me, hi, I'm Julia Berman. Today I'm presenting my Rose Project. However, my Rose Project is not like most people's. When people think of social justice, they often think of volunteering time and money in hopes of making a difference. I, however, am volunteering my story in hopes of shifting perspective, educating my community, redefining the definition of family, and promoting vulnerability. An unconventional Rose Project, yes, but so is my story. While many of you know my face, not all of you know my background. I have 2 moms, Dina and Laura, and a full brother, Ben, and 39 half-siblings. Growing up, I felt vast and powerful emotions surrounding having a sperm donor, and 2 moms in a society that was so stuck in their definition of family being a mom and a dad. As a kid, I constantly felt like I owed everyone else an explanation in order to justify my family. So who's more the mom and who's more the dad? What's it like having 2 moms? Even when people seemed accepting, they were still stuck in society's boundaries of what a family is. In order for them to comprehend my family dynamic, they needed to redefine my mom's roles into typical gender roles. Up until middle school, I was always hesitant to explain my situation. I was afraid I would make others feel uncomfortable, and I was scared of not fitting in. It was not until 7th grade when I realized I wasn't the one who needed to change. It was the first day of 7th grade. I was in history class when my teacher put a questionnaire on my desk. First question, what's your mom's name? Second question, what's your dad's name? I crossed out dad and filled in other mom. That was the first time I took a stand to what society assumed my family looked like. That simple act of crossing out dad gave me the courage to continue to embrace my family rather than restructure it. It's tempting to ignore the things that make us question who we are. Beyond my personal growth, I see this pattern in how society treats its outcasts. Societal norms and stereotypes build walls between us and limit vulnerability. While not everyone can relate to having 2 moms, a sperm donor, or 40 siblings, most can relate to the daunting task of vulnerability. And so while my initial goal was to educate my community on nuclear families, I soon realized that this was not just a discussion about family, but a story of vulnerability. So I was now left wanting to discuss the power of vulnerability through my struggles and victories of an unconventional family. There is no better way to encourage vulnerability than to be vulnerable myself. So today, I will share the most vulnerable words I have ever written. My first letter to my sperm donor. Dear Donor 5114. Hi. I feel like it's the normal thing to introduce myself, tell you about my interests, my family, etc. But I feel like you have a good idea of my day-to-day life due to social media. I want to go deeper than the sports I like to play or the movies I like to watch. The thought of contacting you has been one of the things I've looked forward to most about turning 18, ever since I knew communication was an option. And so now here I am, November 1st. College apps are due today, but I'm writing to you instead. After all these years, I have had to think. I still don't know what to say. There are so many things I want to tell you, but don't know where to start. I want to thank you, I want to explain my experience, and I want to hear the truth about yours. For me, I always knew I had a sperm donor. Kind of hard not to when being raised by 2 women, but I could never comprehend the possibility of half-siblings. I remember my mom's casually bringing up these kids that look so much like me, but I always figured they were distant cousins or my mom's friends' kids from college. Not until I was going into 6th grade was I able to comprehend who these people were. My brother Ben and I had just gotten home from school when my mom sat us down and told us they wanted to show us something. We all huddled around the desktop computer in what we then called our playroom, and I watched this 9-minute video titled Kids of Donor 5114, and right then and there, my world fell apart. Everything that I had known and my notion of family was broken down and shattered by these kids on this screen. I immediately started crying, terrified of what this would mean for my family. How would these people destroy my family unit? This was my reaction, while Ben's was the complete opposite. He was so fascinated by these new brothers and sisters and was immediately dying to go to the next meetup that would be taking place in LA. We didn't end up going. That's my bad. He started to friend everyone on Facebook and join their Skype calls, while I was hiding in my closet, threatened by this new concept of family. I remember telling Ben not to mention my name, and if they asked where I was, to say I was not home. It wasn't that I wasn't curious about these people, but I was more focused on the effects it would have on my family, rather than the new relationships I could form with these so-called siblings. It wasn't until Danny DM'd me on Instagram saying, "Hey sister from the same mister," that I started to open up to the situation. We began texting, sending horrendous selfies back and forth, and forcing each other to record ourselves singing our favorite songs. I found so much of myself in Danny that every part of me became invested in this part of my life. Staying up all night, staring at the document you filled out when you donated, listening to your audio recording on repeat, FaceTiming Danny all night long, fantasizing about all the possibilities of who our dad could be. I used to have this notebook filled with nonsense about all my hunches, theories, and Google searches, trying to find this mysterious man. Oftentimes, I would go to my friend's house and be enthralled with the idea that their dad was secretly mine as well. And airports, they were the worst. Every time I saw a tall, full-lipped man, I was certain he was my dad. My eyes fixated on each middle-aged man that passed as I searched for some type of feeling, some type of reassurance that he was my dad. Each time, more sure than the last, I had found him. What has it been like for you, knowing you have all these anonymous offspring out there? What was it like when you started to see our faces and glimpses into our lives? This identity crisis was a heavy burden that I carried with me throughout all of middle school. My emotions were constantly shifting from gratitude and curiosity to hatred and hurt toward this anonymous sperm donor. Additionally, towards my mom's. Why would you choose an anonymous sperm donor? How could you do that to me? Why would a guy take away my right to know my dad? Why this? Why that? Who is he? These were just some of the many thoughts that ran through my head. Looking back, I'm grateful for your anonymity. Not because I do not want to know you. Believe me, I do. But because it allowed me to appreciate the family that I have and understand the importance of waiting. It gave me the opportunity to embrace my own unique family before pursuing the standard version of family. Had I been able to contact you whenever I chose, your inbox would have been filled with a lot of emails for a confused and angsty 7th grade girl, and I would not have grown to appreciate this unique experience in the way that I do today. A hard battle with my non-biological mom, Laura, has always been her trying to understand that my love and appreciation for her and my curiosity about you do not directly correlate. When you're on my mind, I cannot shut up about you, and I think that can sometimes lead her to feeling threatened of the relationship she and I share. While understandable, it is hard to navigate, because I cannot hide my curiosity about you, but the last thing I want to do is hurt her. She fully supports however decide to pursue this relationship. I just think she worries unnecessarily about what that means for me and her, because we are so unbelievably close. I know she logically knows she has nothing to worry about, but our brains can imagine some crazy things. I'm sure this entire process has been overwhelming for you and your wife as well. How has your perspective or curiosity about all of these offspring changed and developed over the years? Do your daughters have any idea that we exist? If not, do you plan on telling them? What is your family's take on all of us in this situation? I'm not expecting all of your answers to tell me what you think I want to hear. I value honesty over anything else. That being said, I respect that some thoughts and emotions are private, so don't feel pressured to answer my questions if you feel uncomfortable answering. However, I cannot promise not to ask them. The amount of times I almost DM'd you or responded to your story is innumerable. Danny can attest to all of my spur-of-the-moment texts where I'm practically screaming, "Just let me DM him!" While I'm normally the one to talk sense into Danny, he was the level-headed one in this situation. Having the opportunity to watch your life and see your adorable family is one of the greatest gifts you have ever given me, and I would never want to mess that up. This window into your life has provided me with so many answers about not only who you are, but who I am. Growing up, I used to always think I would resent the kids that actually got to be raised by you, but that could not be further from the truth. I see your daughters and see so much of myself in them, from their funny eyebrow raises and dance parties to their songs, silly voices, and candy obsessions. I often feel as though I'm watching my younger self. It is comforting to know you are raising girls that seem to have character traits that parallel my own. When you first started looking at my Instagram, I found myself attempting to craft these perfect posts, structured specifically for your viewing. Was it obvious? I wanted you to see the perfect parts of myself, the parts you could only be proud of. However, as time went on, I began to stop caring. Not about what you thought of me, but rather about my life's imperfections. I started to ask myself, why are you trying to portray yourself in such a perfect way for one guy? Is this how you want him to view you? How is that benefiting you? So I started to let you see it all, the stupid posts, the sad posts, and the silly posts. While I was being more vulnerable, I began to feel more content. I know I cannot control what you think of me, but I can control what you see. This way, no matter what you think or thought of me, I am being authentically myself, and that's exactly what I want you to see. Me. I do not think I could ever run out of things to say to you, so I have to cut myself off at some point. The amount of drafts I have addressed to you would blow your mind. Every time Danny would tell me it was a bad idea to contact you, I found myself writing letters to you instead. I just never sent them. Maybe sometime I will share those with you. With all the eagerness, love, and gratitude in the world, Julia Berman. As I was looking for synonyms for the word vulnerable, words like unsafe, at risk, and endangered were most commonly recommended. To be vulnerable is not to be unsafe. It's to be open and honest. As I work to redefine the definition of family, let's work together to redefine what it means to be vulnerable. When we are vulnerable with one another, we form deeper levels of understanding and a harmonious unity that is lost in the fabricated conversations that we are surrounded with today. I never realized the impact I could have on my community until I started to let people in. So I challenge you. The next time you feel misunderstood, be vulnerable. Start a conversation in the hopes of educating your community rather than putting up walls that keep others out. Thank you.